Hello, everyone. My name is Sabdi Odido. I'm the head of gender and inclusiveness. We would like to welcome you this evening for this special segment of the TalkCorner that is going to feature two amazing women who have been in the food systems transformation agenda, and they are going to take us through this session. But just as an opener, we are in a very crucial period of our food systems transformation agenda. And over the last few months, we have engaged in series of conversations at the country and also at the continent, and of course, across the world on the food systems that we want. The food systems that is equitable, that is inclusive, that is sustainable. Now, this week is, of course, the highlight of the discussions around the Food Systems Summit, with the summit itself being held in New York this week. For us, we have been, of course, amplifying the voices of our farmers, the voices of our women, the voices of our young people in the food systems transformation. And today we will speak about the role of women in food systems transformation. And please allow me to ask the question, what food systems transformation, especially for Africa, if we do not talk about the role of women in that transformation? We know what that means for Africa. Over 50% of labor in agriculture is provided by women. And so it is very, very crucial that any discussion about the food systems transformation features women, and particularly features them as having the kind of resources they need to be productive, as being at the table, taking decisions and informing decisions and informing investments within their countries, but also taking the leadership role in ag policy processes, in ag science, ag research, and ag business and ag production. My role this evening is very simple. It's actually to introduce these two fascinating women who are going to engage in this dialogue. And through this dialogue, of course, they will highlight series of critical issues that needs to be attended to in order for women to effectively participate in this food systems transformation. Please allow me to introduce Lucy Mushoki. Lucy Mushoki is the CEO of Pan-African Agribusiness and Agro-Industry Consortium, PANAC. PANAC is a Pan-African private sector organization created to support African agribusiness through enhanced productivity and competitiveness in the regional and global market. I am sure most of you have heard Lucy in the engagements around the Food Systems Summit, in the food systems transformation on the African continent, and particularly around the role of the private sector in the food systems transformation. Lucy, please welcome and do introduce, please take it over from here and introduce your speaker. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've always called you Sabdio, but I say I'll pronounce it well. Thank you very much for that introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very, very, very important session. Indeed, this is a session if you want to be inspired, if you want to be motivated, if you want to hear the women talk, the women who are doing it, and they're just not talking but doing it, this is the session to be in. I'm very happy that we are hosting one of our best who will be sharing with you her roadmap and what she has done. And I'm very happy that we are discussing this very important session, an important agenda for the women, and especially during this important time when we are having what we are calling the People's Summit. This United Nations Food Systems Summit, it is not just any other. We are calling it People's Summit because everybody is on board. More than 148 countries have been involved in dialogue, discussing, just like Madame Sabidios mentioned, How are we going to be resilient? How is our food system going to be resilient? How are we going to ensure it's sustainable? How are we going to ensure that in the future, we are not going to be just disrupted like we have been disrupted and been unable to move forward? I want to mention that this is such issues that we are at heart, and the issues that are coming up quite strongly, and the role that our women play. And before I introduce our dear lady, I want to mention that this webinar is being recorded. I also want to mention that I want to request all of you to introduce yourself. There's a chat there. And also, we want you to record your question in the Q&A, not in the chat. Kindly note that, because your questions are very important. We'll be responding to you, we'll be noting them, and they'll help us moving forward, and especially in our talk corner. So without much ado, I want to mention that we as women, we have a voice, and this voice is to be listened, is to be heard. A woman with a voice is by definition a strong woman. And a strong woman looks at a challenge in the eye and gives it a wink. So today, I have known women who are not shying off. I have known women, and specifically the lady that I'm going to talk, we are bringing on board to speak to you, Dr. Hajia Salamatu Garba. Before I discuss who she really is, I want to mention that I'm very particular and very, very passionate about food system. And I'm one of the Unfss food system champion. And I'm very happy to know that we have been led by none other, one of us, our president for AGRA and our Unfss special envoy, Dr. Agnes Kalibata. And I tell you, this is the best UN food system mission and discussions and dialogues that I've ever witnessed. A lot has been said and a lot you will be here. And there's concrete discussions on way forward. What are these game-changing alternatives, game-changing solutions that we all want to hear, not just a talk show. Without much ado, Dr. Hajia Salamatu Garba, who is a founder and executive director for Women Farmers Advancement Network, WOFAN. She's also the winner of our recent Value4Her Women Agripreneur of the Year Award, WIRE 2021. I really feel very proud of that big achievement. WOFAN's aim is to improve and promote the economic, social, and political empowerment of rural women and youths to transform agriculture into business and develop positive linkages across all the agricultural value chains, including access to finance and technical know-how. And I believe this is one of the areas all women are looking for. Salamatu is an Ashoka Fellow, chevening scholar as gender and development specialist and a plant pathologist. She led the USAID Nigeria Water Project that targeted 33,000 households in 2011. Currently, she leads the consultancy for UNDP GEF Food Security Project, targeting another 42,000 youths and recipient of United Nations Information Services Rare GM Award on MDGs. Salamatu was honored by a doctorate degree from the Institute of Excellence in Dubai for her enormous leadership and community development initiative across the African region. These are the women breaking the ceiling, and all of us can be able to do and emulate and do much. As I said, this is our time. So without much ado, Dr. Hajia, I want to ask you, can you kindly share with us your journey in influencing equitable food systems and empowering Nigerian women in agriculture? Over to you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Like she has said, my name is Salamatu Garba. And I founded WOFAN in 1993, like some of you have heard me said several times, and I was a lecturer then. Now, I will start with what is making me do what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm passionate about telling people about this woman I saw while I was still a lecturer from the same region with me. A reason why the WOFAN logo is a pregnant woman coming from the farm and with load on her head. That woman I saw that day, who told me that a woman is nothing what more than just being pregnant, nursing baby, and doing all household chores and obeying men. No other function for a woman. And I thought I should walk alongside her, knowing fully well that I was actually just opportuned. Otherwise, I would have been in the same situation with her, probably her mate carrying the same firewood I saw her with that day. So I assisted and promised to come back just to chat with her. I didn't know about NGO then. I was just being a sister from the same community. And when I went back to her place, I realized that this woman died during childbirth. And like 6 months after that, British Council put the Northern women together and they asked us to tell a story of how we want to make a change in our community because we are backward actually in northern part of Nigeria and we don't have a voice like she had said. So we all gave our stories and I brought the story of this woman and that was how it started. That was how I had to go to the UK and I came back now transforming this because at that time I dreamed beyond my village to see that generally if women are given this opportunity, it means we can fit into the system. So this was what made me to start what I wanted, I started with, and we were just 28 of us then. And like I happily say, today we are 1,350, 1 million rather, 350 women, of which 80% of this number I've called for you are women, and the remaining 20% are men, and we cut across the agricultural value chain. Now, how I started this was that I looked at what the women were doing, I looked at the problems, and then we started looking at how to go around it. In the North and in most parts of Africa, women are more into processing. Women are doing the menial works of the farm, but nothing more than that. And we now realize that if you push the women a little bit, they can do better. So let me take you through the pathway of WOFAN. And currently what we are doing is that we picked from the women who were laborers on the farm. You know, in most cases, women are identified to go and do this work. And those that are picking from the industries, and they give them just the trash and the rejected item. Those were the women we put together. And today, these are the women that are running through the system we are operating, which is the Taurarua rice that cuts across. Now, it started with empowerment. You have to put them together to understand their own common cause. And there's no way you can achieve this without a proper group dynamics. If women don't come together as a collective and they understand their problem and are able to reflect on their problem to provide solution, even if you come and you give them tractor, each woman, it's not going to work until the group dynamics is properly done. And then we have to put the literacy program to make sure that they are able to revolve in their financial scheme. Let them be able to break even. A lot of them do business without necessarily knowing that they are breaking even or they are losing. So we must build their capacity around that in addition to the good agricultural practices. So that was the beginning, and now having structural identification for them. 30 of them or 25 of them make them to understand. In the rural African setup, a household, you can get 5 to 6 or 8 people. You can put them together to understand to do this work. So now we started through the processing, and now later we went back to the agriculture and we started tilling the soil. The success of all of this is when you put women and you give them the confidence. You let them know, yes, I can. If another woman is doing this, why would I not do it? They are ready to move. And we all know that women are credit worthy. So immediately we got that clear with our system. The next thing was to try them. Our system does not give credits. Our system does not give cash. You can't give cash to someone who has not held maybe $200 before. You now give cash to them to just go without training them on how to go about it. So we now started with a program we call the Kickstart Initiative. The Kickstart Initiative started when the microfinance did not work. Microfinance did not work because it had a lot of hidden administrative charges for them. So at the end, they were more or less working to pay those interests instead of improving their lives. So we're now having a situation where we can start them with a grant that will leave them above poverty. In most cases, you will see that the policy in most of the banks, like I mentioned the other time, is never friendly. But the bankers don't even know that they are rolling an unfriendly policy until we bring them together. I sat with a few of them to let them know that we can combine credit with a little bit of support for their farm. So the Kickstart Initiative is to allow them to identify the vocation they want to do. Then you support them, they start doing a mini savings by themselves. You now add to whatever they've had and they start a business with it. In WOFAN, we follow them on that business for like 3 months so that we see who is going to stumble along the way, who is going to default. So they roll it. So if you start with a bag of groundnut, for instance, and they're making groundnut oil, it means that you keep tracking them. This one bag of groundnut must be able to multiply itself to 1.4 bags and then 2 bags gradually. At the end of 6 months, you now do an analysis with them and find out whether they are keeping the records you have trained them on. This has worked very well. And I say it's anywhere that in the last 12 years, WOFAN has 0 defaults. 0 default with all the farmers that we have. And the success is because we do this initial scheme. It now lifts them below the poverty level that they cannot pay back. So once they have reached that stage and you are revolving with them, they are good enough to become mentors to another new groups. And then you go to the new groups and they become mentors and continue to roll on. And we follow them with good agricultural practices from beginning to the end of harvest. The next thing is introduction of the contract farming system. Linking them to markets is very, very important. You will all agree with me that everybody who is into business definitely needs a market. So we arrange for the market, and now WOFAN is an off-taker of all the produce our farmers are producing. So it means there is no gap between when we produce and when it is sold. And what I will share with you is that our system has even smoothened family relations. Before we started this program, the men were refusing to tell their wives when they are harvesting on the farm because they know that the women know there's money in their pocket and they don't want the women to ask them. So they create problem around that period and keep quarreling with their wives. With this new WOFAN program, because they know that WOFAN and the women will offtake their produce, now the men are lobbying the women 2 weeks before harvest, saying we have produce and so on. So you can see it's smoothing family relation, husband and wife now doing business together. And the end of production, we don't stop there. We now do the value addition. You see, what makes the difference between other successful farmers and who we have is that our farmers stop at production and they sell to middlemen. The middlemen make more profit. We now made them to understand that we can occupy all the level of the value chain, which is what we are doing now. And you all know that value chain is divided into macro, meso, and the mega aspect of the value chain. And the smallholder farmers are mostly in the production side, which is the micro area. What is it exactly these farmers need? We now make it available. If we are increasing production, it means we must be technology conscious and it must be ICT driven. First of all was our one-stop shop of using the Kickstart Treadle Pump initiative. A lot of you understand this. Instead of the women to now spend money to buy diesel and petrol, they're using the Kickstart Treadle Pump to just pump. You know, they just treadle on it, exercise, and they are reducing the cost of water. And it means, the cost of fuel. It means they are saving what ordinarily they would have spent for buying diesel. And that means they are even reducing carbon emission. And it's affordable. And the spare parts are not even expensive. You don't even need a spare part in less than 1 year, for instance. So that was the beginning. Women started saving and increasing their production and growing all their agriculture around here. We now started again with handheld simple equipment. Instead of the women to now start picking on the farm, we gave them simple transplanters. So they can plant like 5 rows at a time, saving time and saving money. And women now reduced labor for themselves. So all of this assisted these farmers to increase production, increase marketing, and we are off-taking from them. We have collection centers that we have for them, and we open accounts by liaising with 3 financial institutions. So every of our member has an account, and they also have a group account. So it's possible for them, when they do a group farming, they put their money in the group, and on individual basis, they can also support themselves. So I will stop here to see if I have not made something clear, or you want to redirect the discussion so we can pick it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hajia. Thank you very much. We continue getting all the questions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, post it there, Q&A. We are coming back to you. We'll be responding to you. And thank you very much, Hajia, for that very well elaborated and very clear process of how you started and why you started this. That is very, very, very encouraging. You saw a woman, you have done it. You have been able to identify what is needed, what's the capacity, how do you assess? And again, you're looking at how do you contract them? How do you ensure that you give them solutions that are more friendly and like what has been there before? And I will be coming back to you what exactly is needed from you, what is needed for the women to even go further and do much better. It's very important that women tell us what is needed. Now, I want to come back again to you, Hajia. What motivated you as a person towards women empowerment? Why women in farming? I realize you started by processing, and usually people start from farming, but I saw you start from processing and you went to farming. Can you tell us what motivated you?
What motivated me is, you know, that spirit of looking for a solution. to the problem of the women generally, and in particular, northern part of Nigeria, where I identify with the backwardness, the lack of confidence to speak out, and the opportunity is not even there. So I adhered to all the constraints involved in this to make sure I push a little bit, knowing fully well that every woman you support, you are supporting millions of other people because she's there to replicate it. You know, there's this saying when I was growing up that if you want something said, tell it to a man. If you want something done, tell it to a woman. I'm sorry for the gentlemen that are listening to me. So women are there and food security stands first. And being a plant pathologist that metamorphosed to a gender and development practitioner, you don't expect me to do anything less than carry the flag of food security across Africa. And I chose Africa because our problems line up on the same axis. We have almost the same issues all across. So it gave me the courage, and I kept on seeing results. You see, another thing was the challenge at the time I started this work. It faced a lot of opposition. Like I told you, from the north, you are not too bold to hold a speaker. A woman should not be heard. You should just be at the background providing solution. And I know that if a woman raises her voice or they add the voice of a woman to anything ongoing, it magnifies it and makes it better. It makes it a lot better. So I thought I'll be pushing. So as I was being opposed, I was also moving ahead. But you know what made mine very simple was, I first of all identified with the situation. And then I made the men to now reflect on the issue. And together we were providing solutions. If you want me to give you a very short, quick one, something happened in 2006. You know, it isn't only food security I took as my pathway, a little bit of health, a little bit of literacy. Because if you don't combine all, you can't even bring up nutrition, you can't bring calculation. So we were also doing literacy. And we used radio then to make women to get back to us. And I gave radio and recorders to women in a particular community of Kano State. And you know, one of them started going for antenatal services, although she's a farmer, but health is also good, and she went for antenatal. And then when she went, she came back to happily tell her husband that she was examined by a male doctor, a youth copper, but he was very, very, very detailed, took all the measurements and what have you, and the man got annoyed and divorced her. These are the kind of challenges we were facing. The other women, because we have given them recorders, quickly recorded and sent. And all I could do was to go back to the community and now met with the leaders and the men. And I started asking, yes, I've identified with what they said, but why did we not have female doctors to examine her? And they now answered, because there aren't female doctors around. But why didn't we have it? Because our girls are not reading, because there are no. And at the end of the day, we realized we're harming ourselves by not allowing our daughters and our girls to go to school. So that's the type of example. And at the end of the day, myself and the men preferred solution. We now decided to even get a scholarship to get the young girls to go to school and take profession. So I identify with those challenges. It kept on giving me the motivation to continue to push the women to move along the pathway of empowering themselves.
Thank you, Haji. For those who are joining, this wonderful lady talking to us, she is not just our winner for our award last week. She is executive and director and founder of Women Farmers Advancement Network based in Nigeria. And you can hear she is working with millions and thousands of women, and has gone it herself so boldly and using her voice. We are saying, let the women use their voice because we have it. Now, I want to ask you yet again, listening to you, I can hear quite a number of achievements and a number of lessons, but I just want you, can you be able to just try and brief us, just break them down? What are your key achievements and what are the lessons that you have learned over the years?
Number one achievement for me is that we've been able to harmonize the working relationship between husband and wife at family level. At family level, we're making the men and the women to work together and know that the profit of the man and that of the woman will bring or upscale the activities of the family. It has given women opportunity to take part in community leadership issues. And right now, we have about 4 or 5 of them that already have leadership positions. One has just been given the treasurer of our community association because they've discovered that they are credit worthy and some other things. Number 2 is that during the time of my program, while I was with the USAID program and provided safe drinking water for so many households, I've been able to integrate that with the farming system to make sure that that consciousness of irrigation practices is there to show that you don't need to harvest just once in a year, but you can harvest like twice and you can diversify your crops. I've also been able to lead a situation where today, everyone who knows the WOFAM program, when I go to a function, I only take the back seat. These women that used to be shy, that cannot hold the mic, they are the ones at the forefront talking. And sometimes I will just be a guest to listen to them. There is no transformation that is more than that because they are now proving that they know their problem and they can do an analysis and find solution. These women will go to the bank by themselves. These women can open account. But most importantly, women are distributing fertilizer. It is common that input doesn't come to the women. Everybody knows that. Women are only used on the farms in some cases for photographs if you are linked to a project. But when it comes to giving input, it's the numbers you will get that women don't get it. I've been able to transform in a place where we have the power to be the people distributing the input. It is the women that distribute. It is the women that now identify the real farmers. So if you are not a real farmer, the women will not allow you to tap from access to input. This program has also enabled us to be able to give timely input, because it's one thing to give input, it's another thing to make it timely, which has always been the problem. So the women have a seasonal calendar, interestingly, because we use pictures. The women know that in January, this is what they need to do. You don't need to go and tell them like a project and you go, they say community is not there. No, the women now design because they know the time to do that. The women do participatory monitoring and evaluation because at the beginning of the program, we set the activities together with them and we've seen what it entails. So they know that once is a particular time T, this is an activity that will be able to come up. The women have a popular radio program, 30 minutes. 80% of the time is the voices of the women who are talking about their achievement or constraints that they have faced. Now I'm just getting their WhatsApp messages about those that have faced flood issues. The pictures are there, women have talked about it, and they are asking for technical advice on what to do, and the agronomist is already responding on how to step in immediately. So that self-consciousness is something we give glory to, that women are now at the forefront. Then women are now mentors of other women. So these few women that we champion this program with together, each one is a mentor of another 30 women. So for every training that we do to them, they now go back to the 30. And that is what is making our program to scale up. The scalability level is even now wanting to become a challenge, because if we scale up beyond resources, then that is another issue. So these are some of the achievements. But the one that pleases me most, that I want to talk about more, is the fact that women are championing agricultural equipment. Women are using handheld rice cutters now. No more cutting it with knives and other things. Women have rice groundnut shellers. You know, instead of the women to sit down and they are peeling their groundnuts, so it takes them like 3 to 4 days to do a bag. Now they can do like 50 bags in a day using a simple groundnut sheller. So the men will now come and bring their groundnuts to the women's center for shelling, and they pay the women for the shelling services. And the women still use the shell to add to their husk and produce animal feed. And they now use to feed their livestock. So this is the kind of thing we can see a lot of ripple effect of the simple training and capacity building we're giving to these women.
Thank you, Haji. You know, before I go, Haji, before I go to, there's so many questions coming up. I just want, before I open the chat and responding to the questions that our audience are asking, I just want to know, lastly, have you faced any gender related barriers in starting and eventually leading WFN? Did you face these? Let me know, let us know, let the audience know. Very important.
Definitely. You know, I told you there were a lot of challenges. You know, when you try to reduce the gap between the men and the women, there's always a resistance. So that resistance was there at every level, at the ministry level, at the home level, at the every level of development, you tend to get resistance to that. But my lucky bit of it is that my children were grown up when I became so married to my job. That is the development aspect. But I assure you, if I had little children, it would have been difficult for me to fiercely engage into what I'm doing at the moment. But because my children had gone past secondary school at that particular time, and now they are all married with their own children and happily living there, it gave me the ample time. Otherwise, everybody knows that it is a definite thing that it will be resisted in most cases. But I was lucky, I got all the support that I needed to do this. But it was also difficult at that time in the 90s to clarify between what an NGO's pathway was and that of the government ministry section. So at that time, we were seen as people who were intruding. But now we are partners of them to the extent that the state government has given us our award for the commendable work we're doing, because we insisted on showing it, and the result was speaking for itself, that it is something to be meaningful to the lives of people. But definitely, I faced a lot of challenges from colleagues, from friends, all of it. But when you insist and you are persistent with an open heart, you continue to get results for whatever you are doing. So that is my own story. I definitely faced a lot of challenges, but I was able to be diplomatic in addressing them.
Thank you. Sorry, I have a small problem with my video. So allow me to continue engaging you without the video. But I am answering, I'm looking at your questions, and I come back again to you, Dr. Hajia. You can hear me? Yes.
Yes, please.
Dr. Hajia, there's a question that is coming from Dan Direct. He's asking that, yes, we are very honored to have you. At the same time, they would like to partner with you. And we have others also asking the same. I'm sure as I said in the beginning, kindly share with us all your contacts, and I'm sure this information will be shared. Now, there's some Demru Wasenyela. He's asking, we are always talking about women and gender inequity, I think inequity in quality. Women have a skill and knowledge of doing things better than men, but still there are limitations that women accepting gender inequality. Can you say something on this and share your experience and challenges?
You know, I've said it in my discussion that there's this inequality, but you know, in the agri value chain, it's not everything. It's not an equal right thing. It's an equitable right thing. I hardly say equal right, but I look at it from an equitable angle, because we're not at the same level, and there are some activities that just have different gender roles. For instance, you are never going to ask a woman to provide pesticide application on the farm, because health-wise it's not okay. And even for the men, you need to train them separately and get them kitted up. So if you are saying it's equal right, then it means that women must also go there to do exactly that. So it's equitable one and identifying the specific roles for them. But there are some certain things that, yes, I think we should push the women more. Have you all realized that if they want to depict the picture of Africa, it's an old or a wretched looking African Black lady they show, looking hungry or holding hungry children? This narrative needs to stop. We need to promote African women and African agriculture. And the gender I'm talking about involves men and women. So our youths on the farm also, why would they not be portrayed with agricultural equipment? Why will they not go the ICT line? Now that women are seeing that you can use your phone to determine the fertilizer you need on the farm using rice advice, which we have given to them, is it not changing the narrative? So we are the ones that will change the system that women can take it over. Women can go in small power tillers instead of tractors. And why not, if there is a tractor, who says a woman cannot do that? It's all about giving them the capacity. We all can fit into the same role. Some of us will take the micro level of the value chain, some will take the meso level, and some will take maybe the micro in terms of policy making and take it up with the policy makers. But you see, in the meso level, things like transportation, do you know that the transportation sector is limited? But we can equip some of our women with motorbikes and some other support that they can do delivery services. It's part of what I'm looking at now. Because if you produce and you have a bike that you can easily deliver, it expands your market. So women have the skills, it's just that they are not having the right opportunity. And just like there's so much lying in a lot of the financial institutions, we just listen to the big figures. But how many of the women actually benefit from it? How many? And if women didn't benefit from it, what happens to it? Why are women not getting involved in making the budget issues? Have you realized that if it is women that are making every country's budget in agriculture, we're going to get better results? Can we give it a trial? Because they know where the shoe pinches and they would say it and calculate it the way it is. But we're getting it all wrong. And we have to twist. I keep saying we have to twist it. Capacity, give it to women and youth in the right environment, the right proportion, and we will get the results we need. Why are we not adding value? One of the things I appreciate about AGRA, encouraging people to take business beyond just tilling the soil. Let us add more to it. Now we are making rice and groundnut flour. Just yesterday with the women group, we read that the wheat flour is going into a small challenge. While we are grinding rice and groundnut and making rice and groundnut flour, and we're using it to make meat pie, we're using it to make moi moi and other things. Why are we not getting support to take this production of that flour into a larger scale? The rural women can do it. It's just simple machines per woman. And then we popularize this different food, which will increase nutritional value that we all know. It means we are making the second SDG, which means we're not leaving nutrition behind. So capacity is what I keep talking, especially using technology and using ICT.
Thank you, Dr. Hajia. Wow, what a wonderful session. What very, very pertinent issues that you're bringing out. Capacity. And yes, you have said that the women have it. They have what it takes, because once you support them, once you build their capacity, then, and you give them the finance they're looking for, then you'll be able to see results, and they are more results oriented. We are not saying our men are not, but remember for our men that beside every successful man, there's no more behind, but in front. So indeed, we really appreciate what you're telling us, because these are lessons that need to be taken up by the women who also want to hit the ceiling. And I'm certain that women are here to make change. And as we said from the beginning, this is our time. And we want to ensure that during this UNFSS summit, the women voice is heard. What exactly is our need? What do we want? How can we continue changing? How do we ensure that we are attaining sustainable food system? And I want to ask you, and this is lastly, what is your priority? What would you take as a priority call for action that stakeholders should take to the UNFSS summit to prioritize, to improve the story for women in agriculture?
I'm saying this from a personal feeling. We need to take agriculture more to the schools to start with. We need to catch them young, both the young boys and the young girls, which is one of the things we're doing in our school. We have a school also, and we're making agriculture tied to it. Agriculture and education should be each and everyone's keeper. They should keep one another. So from school, they should learn this agripreneur, and you show them these simple skills, and they come to love agriculture. What is happening now that we are waiting for the children, for the youths to graduate from the university, and you now come and want to bamboozle everybody to go into agriculture? We have not introduced that interest to them. What is it that is going to motivate them when they are seeing the pictures of miserable people on the farm? When you say a farmer, do you imagine the picture you have in your mind? Can we change it to a youth on a tractor holding his phone to map out a strategy? That will make it more interesting. So I am looking at a situation where we look at a policy of getting more of these girls from school and now bringing them into the system. And the existing women also, to make sure that we make it this same ICT that I'm talking about. That is one thing. I also want to talk about the finance. Should we go and dig into the hidden administrative charges? There's this thing funny about his 1 digit. but actually it's not 1 digit. Can we not have a standardized thing and make it actually a 1 digit below 5%? Why are we increasing it? Why are we not even leveraging it for the women so that more of them can come on board? Then why are we not even taking the infrastructures to the rural communities? For instance, we have a section where we produce huge amount of sugarcane. You will not believe the amount of things you can do with sugarcane. If I'm given a chance, we will transform that. You already know that you can make sugarcane juice. You extract. You use the fodder from it, or what do you call it now? After you've extracted, the word has just escaped my memory now. You can transform that to so many things, including making ceiling, including mixing them with husk of rice and transforming to another thing. For that single sugar cane, do you know how many things we can produce with that? And it's definitely going to reduce rural-urban migration. What does it cost to put the basic amenities there, including access? Rural access is what we ask for. And electricity or simple machines that will operate this system. You can imagine sugarcane being natural. You can use the bark to do a lot of things, including animal and so on and so forth. And that is it for every value chain of crop that you take. So if we do that and government means business and all the policy people and supporting agencies, we can identify 3 to 4 value chains and make sure that both men and women occupy them very well. And in terms of marketing, I thought we need to do a little bit before. We used to have the pricing commodity team and so on, but people can just put any price. There's no control on that. And these farmers, they end up with very little profits at the end of the day. So some of this importation, what we use in importing, we can increase production. Once we increase production and we have the small industries to act on this, it can continue to go. It means then that we need a startup packs for small businesses. Encourage them from the peasant production to coming up as the starters and let them be employers of labor. So these are some of the things: finance, technology, increased production. And I'm wondering why women are not the lead people in community seed-based production. Women are so detailed with their hands. The capacity you need for producing seed is not different from the normal one for the cropping system. I would wish that we have more women that are the community seed-based producers, that we will now link them to the seed standardization organization to make sure that it meets the standard. The research institutions can also train these women, giving them the foundation seeds so that they are now able to do that. Train these women and see, it's worth it. Then it means the appropriate seed is not distant away from them. Once you get it right from the seed, it means every other thing could be right. Every other thing could be right. So we can get women and youth to be able to do that appropriately, and so many other things. Have you thought of the irrigation systems? We just recently got World Bank to support one very industrious area of Kano State in the Trimming project. We are so grateful for that intervention. It means more people can grow across the year. Like the people who just faced flood last week, we've told them the moment this water goes down, they can quickly put a quick win, like the vegetables, harvest it so that they can now put their cowpea or groundnut. So before next season, they can have 3 to 4 planting around that side. The magic of water and where those floods are taking place, why are we not doing water harvesting? It gives me a lot of pain when I stand by the window and I look at water running off, large volume of water running, and nobody is saving it. And it's beyond the capacity of WOFAN to be able to do that? Can we have micro channels or tunnels to keep this water, preserve them? Can we have a system so they can recirculate when there isn't sufficient to farm? Even if it's the rooftop harvesting, can we look at simple creative things? Then lastly, why are we not encouraging innovation? I was looking at some youth, they use stick to do something like a wheelbarrow and put a small tire using tin, large tin of Bonvita. They rolled it and put some wood on it, and they were using it to carry wood. That's technology, even though they are not university students, but we can teach them a little bit to perfect it. Some have put in a system of pumping their water. Can a project like this chase after indigenous technology? Let's bring out the talent in our rural children, in our rural youth, and in our rural women. Those are some of the things I would say would be my buy-in and my message to our esteemed leaders. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. How wonderful. I'm really, really, really touched, and I'm really, really feeling inspired. And I'm believing that all our other, all our participants feel the same way. And I just want to repeat again, you've talked about ensuring that entrepreneurship starts from school at an earlier age, so it doesn't start when we are already grown and very difficult at times to adopt new technologies that you're talking about. Research and innovation, really very, very important. And I like the part that you have mentioned. How do you also ensure that there's those industrial agro food parks that we can be able to use and support small businesses and our women around that? I've listened to you again. You've talked about standards. And something that came to my mind is that we need to remember that we need to access markets, so we need to ensure that we have the right standards. So obviously, I believe that you're talking of capacity. We need capacity around that area yet again. And lastly, you have talked about ensuring that women are given the support that they require. They're also allowed to use their voices, not just to be there to be seen, and also to take leadership, because they are the ones doing quite a number of things. And you are showing us from your side, you're already taking the leadership. At times, leadership is not given, you take it. So from our women, I believe that this is a very important message. Making sure that you're taking up the leadership and you're doing, not just listening, not just talking. We have seen Dr. Hajia, what she has done, and I believe if we continue this way, how many of us can be able to get things going? How can we change this continent? And I believe that you, Dr. Hajia, we have learned so much from you. And I'm certain with you and others that we are going to talk to in our talk corner, because this talk corner, we are going to ensure that a lot of this is discussed and shared. I really look forward to this continued engagement, and we really thank you for your time. I know that we only had this 1 hour and time has come. So I want to just ask you lastly, what do you want to tell your participants? Your last message, your punching message to all your participants today.
Thank you very much for all the participants that are here. It's just a call to action that please let us all work together. You are all here listening and spending this your 1 hour because you are also interested in supporting rural development, whether it's women in production or what have you. Thank you for your time, and we can do it together. I'm sure you also have your wealth of experience. By the time we marry them together with what Wolfan is doing, it's going to be a perfect finishing. I would want us to envisage a situation where in the next 5 years, we are counting the number of technology that has come up as a result of this discussion. I am thinking of an innovative platform that I call the WIVES, Women in Vocation and Economic Empowerment Initiative. Now, this will be a booster for all these rural women. For instance, with the AGRA support I got, as I was coming back, I reflected that what exactly would I do with this support that I'll be able to tell a story in the next 5 years? And I thought I want to bring out 100 rural starter initiatives in vocations and economic empowerment. Once I'm able to do that, it's very little these communities need to start. This should be a kickstart for them. Let these 100 people be put together and let's hear the narrative of how they want to translate it to another set of people. Let it continue to roll on. Let the ideology of AGRA continue to roll on, because it's such a magnificent one that if we all embrace it, we are bound to bring Africa out of the situation it's now. Anything you want to show that is substandard is Africa you show. If you want to show a malnourished child, it's Africa you show. But in Africa, we have everything from moringa to milk production to livestock production. We have it. And these things will be taken away from us. Value is added and brought back. And then we will exchange our money in exorbitant number to buy it back. Looks like somebody that is dozing. Is it time for us to wake up in Africa? And I want to ask, I know a lot of people probably that are listening to me should be in my age range. Was this how the world was when we were there? Even the educational system, was this what we got? And are we giving back half of what we got in our days? The answer is no. The policy is just dwindling. The action is going the other way. Would we want to leave this generation and impact this world by not impacting anything meaningful? That's why I call on all of you. Please, let's put hands together. Our doors are open for any idea, anything that can change, even if it's at your neighbor's level, even if it's within yourself. But let us all determine to make the change now. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow, how wonderful. Thank you. What a way of ending this session, that all of us, we are called to action, that all of us can bring the change that is really needed. What a way of ending this session from none other than Dr. Hajia, who is again a WIRE 2021 award winner. We celebrate you, Mami. And I thank AGRA for this opportunity. And I look forward to meeting you once again. Very interesting. And for those who we have not responded to your questions, we continue engaging. And so long as you've left your contact, we shall be reaching out to you. Thank you very much. And looking forward to this debate. And let us move and let's impact our continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. I'm encouraged. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.